Republican Congressman Raul Labrador of Idaho joins me now. Congressman, thanks for being here. Does Speaker Boehner speak for you in these negotiations?
You know, Speaker Boehner speaks for the whole conference. I don't know that I'm going to be able to agree with the final deal, but not everybody agrees with me in the conference. We have a pretty broad section in the conference, and I think Speaker Boehner has actually done a very good job in the last 2 or 3 weeks to represent the conference as a whole. I'm not sure what he's doing right now, and we're going to see what that final deal is.
Let's bring our viewers back for a second. As you know, Speaker Boehner originally did not favor this strategy, arguing that tying defunding Obamacare to the government's spending bill. He said that would lead to a shutdown and Republicans would be blamed for it, but he changed his mind with people close to him saying that conservatives such as yourself pushed him to adopt the strategy. Now, you were back in January, you were one of about 12 members of Congress who was trying to organize something of a rebellion against Boehner becoming Speaker. And in fact, you didn't vote for him to become Speaker. So my question is, what exactly did you and your fellow conservatives tell Boehner to change his mind to go along with this strategy that you support?
What we as conservatives wanted to do is separate the debt ceiling from the continuing resolution, from the funding bill of the United States. We actually thought, and we agree with a lot of people who have talked in the media, that tying the fight on Obamacare to the debt ceiling was actually dangerous. We were concerned about having a fight that may seem like more of a political fight dealing with the debt ceiling. We thought it would be a better fight when we did it with the funding bill, because Obamacare is going to add $2 trillion to spending over the next 10 years, and we thought if we wanted to have a fight about Obamacare, we should have it when we were talking about spending bills in Congress, not about debt bills in Congress. And we were able to successfully separate the two fights. I never thought it was a good idea to tie the Obamacare fight to the debt ceiling, because I think many conservatives in the House believe that when we deal with the debt ceiling, we should be talking about debt, entitlement programs, the things that are leading to having a $17 trillion debt in the United States. And I hope that we continue to fight on those two fronts.
But did you and your fellow conservatives convince him that if he did not go your way, that he might not be Speaker for much longer?
I don't think there were any threats ever against the Speaker. What we told him is that the majority of the conference, and if you have seen over the last 3 weeks, the votes that we have had in the House of Representatives have been the most united that we have been in years. So we believe strongly that the House of Representatives needed to fight on Obamacare, and the majority of the conference, more than half of the conference, stood with us, and that's why we went in this direction.
As you know, there are a lot of Republicans who believe that the fight against Obamacare, which they support, would have been better waged in a different way. And they wonder if Republicans would be in a stronger position on the issue of Obamacare if Republicans had done a short-term government spending bill and moved the Obamacare fight just a little bit, because then the biggest story in the country, the biggest story in the country would be the failures of healthcare.gov. That's the argument.
You know, my question to these Republicans, and when do we have this fight? The problem with Republicans in Congress, especially in the Senate, is that they always want to fight the next time, and they keep punting on all the fights that we need to do. We have a $17 trillion debt. We've been able in the last 3 years as Republicans, we've been able to take a $1.3 trillion deficit and cut it almost in half. And it's been because we have had these fights. The president takes credit for that. Senate Republicans take credit for that. But the reality is, if House Republicans had not fought for cutting spending and cutting the deficits, we wouldn't have the cuts that we have had over the last 3 years. And the problem with Senate Republicans is that they always want to have a fight the next time. They always want to wait till the next time. And if they continue to pussyfoot around like they do in these battles, they're never going to be able to take back the Senate. And they're never going to be able to actually engage in the fights that the American people elected them to do.
Now, last time we came this close to not raising the debt ceiling, the stock market went down 17%. Retirement assets fell by $800 billion. Are you willing to pledge right now that you will support raising the debt ceiling because we don't want that to happen again?
No, I will only pledge to raise the debt ceiling if we have real reforms like we had the last time. If you remember, you guys in the media continue to talk about what happened right after, during the fight, but you forget to tell the American people what happened after the fight. The stock market is at the highest levels that it has been in a long time. And the main reason is because we as House Republicans actually fought for less spending. We actually cut the deficit in half. If we hadn't done that, the markets would have gone south. But because of the fights that in the middle of the fight, it never looks pretty. But the reality is that when you get out of the fights, you realize that you've actually made a difference for America.
The top House Republicans, sir, are reportedly exploring their own options if the Senate doesn't get moving with their plan soon. Do you have any idea what that plan would look like?
I don't, but what we have encouraged the Speaker and the top House Republicans is continue to separate the two issues, to continue to have the fight on the CR. What I would suggest to the President, I'd like to do something that he gets something and I get something. I would give him a one-year CR so he doesn't have to worry about these spending bills for the next year in exchange for a one-year delay of Obamacare. It's something that would be a win-win for both sides. He doesn't have to worry about the budget fights for a year, and we can actually delay Obamacare, which has been unfair to the American people. Right now, you're telling the American people that they're going to be taxed if they don't purchase a product that they cannot even go online and purchase. These health exchanges are not working. The people are finding out that their health care is actually increasing in cost. They're losing the doctors. They're losing the coverage that they needed. They're losing all the things that they were promised by this president that they were going to have. And I think it's time that we were able to continue to separate these two, that we actually allow the American people to receive the same benefit that businesses received when the president gave them an exemption.
Last question, sir. I just want to make sure I understand your position clearly. If it were, let's say, up to your vote, and I've been here for 20 years, I've seen things come down to one person's vote, would you vote no on raising the debt ceiling if there was not some major concession that you got, even if it risked the economy and obviously the Dow Jones going down?
Again, repeating what I said, it has nothing to do with Obamacare. So if there are no systemic changes to our debt, to our entitlement programs, then I would vote no on raising the debt ceiling.
Congressman Raul Labrador, Republican of Idaho, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Let's check in on our political